Hey, 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 good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've been looking after yourself. Yes, yes, it's been a while. I have to apologize first of all. I have a bit of an unstable balancing surface today. So if you see it moving around a bit, that's why. But I'm working what I've got today. Anywho, now we've got that out of the way. I wanted to come on today with a video. I'm not going to say quick video because we all know that's a lie. When I say quick video, it never is. So let's not do that. Um, it's a video sort of related to the season we're at, so the Christmas season. Today is December the 23rd. Everyone's excited, everyone's colorful. It's just really exciting time. So I had the idea to make a video regarding just sharing my journey coming from being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, obviously not celebrating Christmas, to where we're at today, where I've had my Christmas tree up for a few weeks. I have a couple of presents under my tree and just really embracing the season. So, how we've got there. That's what I want to talk about. And if there's anything you can take from it, if you're in a position where you have, like myself, grown up not celebrating Christmas and still figuring out the process and still, you know, having some of the feelings that I had in the past, I hope you find something in here that helps you, maybe describes the journey. Just take out of it what you can, what you can't use, leave it on the table. It's absolutely fine. Okay, so, growing up in Nigeria as a Jehovah's Witness, Christmas, what I saw was the kids would be very excited, exciting time. They would go to church in the morning and they would come home. So, of course, they've got their brand new clothes on, brand new shoes. And so, after getting home from church, they'd go home for some food and then they would go door to door. And people would give them money, give them food, give them snacks, and they would do the rounds for hours. And it was always funny. By the end of the day, they've got these new shoes, obviously, that haven't been worn in at all. So their feet would hurt. And so the shoes would be off. They'll be walking about barefoot, going home at the end of the day. And that was funny. But that was my experience of Christmas. I didn't really feel that I was missing out as much from the actual Christmas itself because I guess in a way you don't miss what you don't know. Um, for the witnesses, if you someone watching this that probably doesn't know anything about the witnesses and what they've got against Christmas, well, it's a lot of reasons. I'm gonna try and whiz through them quickly because why have just one reason, right? When you can really smash it down and make sure that nothing, you don't ever think of celebrating it. So, first reason, Jesus himself didn't do his birthday, apparently, which is true. There is no mention of Jesus celebrating his birthday in the Bible, and their reasoning was if it was important or it was something to do, he would have done it. His disciples in the New Testament didn't do his birthday. Again, if it was something to do or not to do, they would have done that. So, if we're following the example, why are we doing it? Another reason that was put forth was, the fact that Jesus wasn't actually born on the 25th of December, which if you do some research, you find out, okay, it's very unlikely that he would have been born on that date, just given the weather conditions and the story that's been told that there were shepherds out, it just doesn't add up. So in a way, they're kind of right about that. The other reason they put forward as well is the fact that it actually has pagan roots. So that this again is something that is true. I'm trying to phrase my thought there how to mention it. But if you actually do the research, you'd find that the actual celebration that was being done at that time of the year was something I think was winter solstice. But you had this Roman emperor who was trying to make Christianity sort of the religion of the time, and he decided to slot this in there as something for people to celebrate as well within that time. But the roots are actually pagan, and they have a scripture they quote where it is said that you don't want to be carried away with empty traditions of men, and this would apparently fit into that. And just in general, the whole idea of birthdays is okay. Birthday is not good, okay, as far as witnesses are concerned. So they have, in Proverbs or Ecclesiastics, there's a Bible verse which mentions that the day of your being born, or the day of death is better than the day of being born, to put it that way. And then the two cases in the Bible where there were birthdays and people got beheaded on their day, and they go, well, there you go. See, birthday bad. Don't do it. It doesn't matter whose birthday it is. And when you put all of that together, you end up with a big, we're not doing this, and feeling quite proud of ourselves for not doing it. And quite frankly, that's where I was at for many years. Not until I left in 2011. Which, there's a whole story behind that, which I'll probably tell again because I wasn't very articulate, but I have a video somewhere on my channel where I've talked about leaving. When I left in 2011, that very year was my first exposure, I guess, to Christmas. So the circumstances at the time, I was in Belgium as a student. I'd gone with a bunch of students from the UK. We'd gone to work in Belgium for a year as on an internship, and very, very sadly, during that year, one of the students passed away, which was just awful. A couple of months before that, I had met someone when I was visiting Germany, and met someone. We got together. We did date for about 4 months after that. But 2 months in is when this death happened, and I guess he didn't want me to be alone over Christmas. The other students had gone home, their families were in the UK. I didn't have any family in the UK, and he thought I should come spend Christmas with his family, and they were German, which actually for them, when they actually exchanged presents and stuff like that, was the day before that. So it was Christmas Eve that they exchanged presents and had all the food. And so that was, I guess, my first experience of Christmas, which was a German one. His dad had a present for me. His brother and his brother's partner had a present for me. He had a present for me. I didn't have anything because I don't know what the hell he did. So I felt really bad. But that was, I guess, my first exposure to Christmas. And I still have the presents that they gave me somewhere because that's really special. Sorry, I did touch the mic there. But that was my first exposure to Christmas. The year after that, which was in 2012, I was heavily pregnant in that December. I was due on the 28th of December, so that's how close it was. The last thing on my mind was fussing about with Christmas that I didn't even have a clue about. My partner at the time was my son's dad. I guess we're both just like, where's this child at? So we had a tiny studio flat that we lived in, and so it just wasn't just a thing. It just sort of came and went. So the following year, 2013, where I now had my son, it was his first Christmas, and already at that point I had been thinking about what I wanted his experience to be, and I knew from quite early on that even though I did sort of still think the witnesses were right, but I was also conscious about having him stand out too much. Not that I'm afraid of him being different, but really being careful about what things he was going to be made to stand out for. His godmother, who obviously, like, she wasn't raised a witness, she had given him presents. He had some presents from other friends and things like that, so he had things to open during that first Christmas while I wrapped my head around it. I was invited by a friend to join her family for Christmas that year. I think it was 2013. So I got to experience, I guess, a British family Christmas, and that was so much fun. So it was a big family, brothers, uncles, aunties, grandparents, food, games, and that was just such a memorable time. And I guess that's where I got a lot of sense of, okay, this is what families do over here over Christmas. They get together, they cook food, they exchange presents, they play games, they watch whatever on TV. And so taking that information with me when I had my next relationship, my partner that I was with for the next couple of years, he did Christmas as well. So I brought what I had taken on from that British family Christmas event combined with what he was doing, sort of tag teaming. So by that point, I'd gotten my head around. So you buy gifts for people, and you open them, and you cook food, and you hang. I still didn't feel good about it. I still didn't feel it was right, but you know, here we are. So there was still an underlying guilt there, but it was one thing at a time. One thing I was careful not to do was jumping, head first. I sort of did things at my own pace, which I think it's going to be something that will be important for you if you're making that transition to do things at your own pace. You don't have to do it. Whatever you do, decide to do, make sure it's at your own pace. It's something you want to do. And if people will not understand that, then that's their problem, not yours. Just something to throw in there. So that's what we got up to. We got into a good rhythm. Just buying presents, doing cards. I took my Christmas cards seriously. I mean, I did have some conversations with, I guess, the people I'd met in the mainstream church that I started going to at that point. And what I found that, while some of them did acknowledge that, yes, it probably wasn't born on that date, and yes, it probably did have pagan roots, but that's not what we're doing it for. We're celebrating the fact that the Savior of the world was born, doesn't matter when, and that's what it's about. And poor you raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and you had to miss out on all this stuff. And that was the sort of approach where they were like, just focus on, the fact that the Savior of the world is born, and that's what it's all about. So, okay. So, I carried on until the end of 2017, 2018, when my deep dive into religion and the Bible sort of started. Leading me up to the point of where I am today, which is to an agnostic, and being, I guess, if I was to be more accurate, I would probably describe myself as an atheist now. But to get to that point and being able to marry up the two. So where we are currently, I have come to appreciate the cheerfulness and the colorfulness and the goodwill and the generally how people are during that time of the year. I like the lights. I like all of that stuff. And it's not necessarily because I think that the Bible is true, because obviously I don't, but I can appreciate the community, the coming together of people, family, the time off work for people to relax and reflect. And I can appreciate that. And I would not want to deprive my son of that. And, if anything, I want him to have what I don't have, which is some feeling of tradition and warmth that comes from that time of the year. I would want him to have that. At the same time, not necessarily thinking that everything that's said is word for word correct and an accurate depiction of what happens, because that is something that we will have conversations about. I mean, he's nearly 7. He's already asking questions, Santa and all of that stuff. So I'm sure we haven't got very long before that stuff gets blown wide open. But some sort of sense of tradition and warmth that comes with that, I don't mind him having that. I tell you what I don't like, the excessive spend that goes with the season. I'm already kind of over that. It's excessive. Another thing I'm over is the cards. I haven't sent any cards this year. When I was moving house 3 months ago, and I had all these cards that I've received over the years, and it was just a bunch of stuff to get rid of. And I thought, I don't know if I want to be doing this to people year in, year out. So I haven't given any cards this year. I'm sure that my thoughts on everything will continue to evolve as the years go along and things settle. But I know that the guilt is definitely gone. I've embraced the excitement of it all, and it's just, it's just something fun to do. I let my son take part in the nativity play, which he did last year, not last year, last week. He was a chicken, as you do. That was his costume, and it's just something fun to do. I can have that conversations at home about, what's likely to be true, what's likely not to be true, and what is the big picture behind that. But I think the core take home message for me was to do things at my own pace, not be rushed into anything, not be forced into anything. And heck, you don't even have to do it. There's people who don't even call it that. They call it, happy winter solstice or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to do any of it at all. You just do as much as you feel comfortable with. And if you are still a witness at this point and, still think it's wrong, well, I know that for myself, I had to come to a point where I was doing the research for myself, and I think that's probably the best way to do it. No one can make you, change your mind. You have to, be convinced of what you're convinced or not. Absolutely fine. In summary, sort of looking back, I guess this wasn't sort of a big issue for me growing up. Like I said, it wasn't something that I felt I was missing. In fact, for us, we were told that the conventions were like our Christmas because that's when we got our new clothes and we got to eat a lot of food. Only exception being that, you didn't have hours and hours of mind numbing talks that we had to sit through and listen to, that I used to fall asleep so much just listening to them. But I guess that was like the equivalent of our Christmas. And, it wasn't a big deal. Of all the things that you have that are different, being a witness, it wasn't the worst thing. So yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at. I would love to hear your thoughts, your experiences. For those of you who used to be witnesses, no longer are, or making your way out, how have you navigated Christmas? Where are you at right now? Where would you like it to be in the future? For me, I think I would like to form my own traditions, my own, habits of things that we do that this season means, because it is a beautiful time. Just the people coming together side of things, not necessarily the religious component of it. That's where we're at. Okay, I'll stop talking now. Enjoy the holidays with your family if you're having some, and it has been lovely to post a bit more over this year, and hopefully I'll get a better sense of where I want to go with the channel next year. But watch this space and see how we go. All right, take care. Bye bye.